Hello again to all you savvy Perfume Parlour fans out there, and welcome back to Mags Frags, the ultimate spot for diving deep into the world of luxury scents without breaking the bank. Today I'm bringing you my annual top 20 Perfume Parlour copy fragrances for 2024. It's been quite difficult for me this year though, because there's certain ones that will always be in my top 20 no matter what. So I was faced with the dilemma of either not including them so that the content would be slightly different, or just to be true to myself and just include them because they are genuinely my favourites. So this year I've decided to change the format up ever so slightly and do 20 different categories and just pick a winner based on each category, and that way there's kind of sure to be something that'll appeal to everybody's favourite genre. There's loads of new entries and we saw some really good releases in 2023, but like I say, there's also some in today's countdown that will have appeared in previous top 20 videos, so I apologise to those people who watch my videos regular, and if I sound like a bit of a broken record I just keep including the same ones, but they're just too good to leave out. And also this year, I'm going to be introducing a unique traffic light system to help guide you through, so if you're relatively new to the fragrance world, look out for the little coloured dots at the bottom of the screen. The red one is for the bold and the brave. These are the challenging and complex niche fragrances that are really unique and often include exotic ingredients, so they may need a bit of getting used to, but perfect for those who are deep into the fragrance journey and love to stand out. Amber is for those fragrances that straddle the line between designer and niche. They're intriguing, slightly challenging, but also rewarding for those looking to explore beyond the mainstream and just to dip their toe in the niche market. If you're looking for something just a little bit edgy, then these might be for you. And the green is the go-to mass appealing wonders. These are the designer high street fragrances that everyone loves, the ones that you just can't go wrong with and guaranteed to turn heads and bring in tons of compliments. The only people that won't perhaps love the green ones are your more hardcore fragrance connoisseurs and collectors that maybe need to be challenged a little bit more. And finally, just before I begin the countdown, if you are interested in picking up any of these to try out for yourself today, don't forget I've got a unique discount code which you get 10% discount off your entire order. And the code is Paul10, and I'll also post a direct link to the Perfume Parlour website down in the description. Okay, so the first award is for Best Newcomer, and there could only really be one winner, which is this one called Avalanche Absolute, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0392. It's a copy of Creed Aventus Absolute, which was released in late 2023, and an original 75ml bottle of this will set you back £320. It's a slightly darker and spicier version of the original Creed Aventus and swaps out the famous pineapple note for blackcurrant up top and adds a spicy triple threat of ginger, cinnamon and cardamom. You still get a bright citrusy opening and a rich woody dry down, and you also get like 90% of the original Aventus DNA, but like I say, the new version is just a slightly bit spicier and a bit less fruity. This Perfume Parlour version is really accurate to the original and really long lasting, so for £14 for a 30ml EDP spray, or just £20 for a more concentrated extract spray like this one, it's an absolute no-brainer to add to your collection. It's super versatile and you can wear it all year round and for any situation, so I recommend that you just pick up a bottle before it sells out if it hasn't already. Okay, so the next category is the Best Green Fragrance Award, and the winner is this one called Old Norse for Men, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0686. This one is a copy of Halte by Parfums de Marly, which came out in 2021 and was originally made exclusively for Harrods and cost over £300. But it's now available from other retailers, but it will set you back around about the £250 mark, so definitely not chump change. I paid just £20 for this Perfume Parlour extract spray. It's an absolute beast of a fragrance, and it opens up with lots of spicy freshness that smells cool, crisp and very green and outdoorsy, with prominent notes of clary sage, lavender, bergamot and saffron. The dry down gives you a rich, dark, warm hug with sweet praline, oud and cedar, really grounding the scent and combining perfectly with the aromatic, airy green notes. It's a scent that really manages to be both regally sophisticated and mischievously playful, like a knight in shining armour who's just a bit of a prankster. It's a majestic stallion galloping through a field of gold-tipped flowers, with a swagger in its step and a twinkle in its eye. This Perfume Parlour version is remarkably accurate to the original, and there's no way that I'd ever be able to tell that I wasn't wearing the original if I smelled this in the air. If you like your fresh green earthy fragrances, then this is a total masterpiece and a definite one to pick up for yourself. Okay, next up we have the category of Best Amber Fragrance, and the winner is called Strong Elixir for Men, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0820. This is a copy of Le Male Elixir by Jean-Paul Gaultier, which for me was one of the best designer releases of 2023. And to be honest, this could have won in 2 or 3 different categories in this year's top 20. It smells very sexy and grown up, starting out with some cool minty freshness and lots of fresh lavender, similar to what you get with the original Le Male from back in the mid-90s. However, the dry down is a different story with the new Elixir version, and the sweetness is dialed right up with lots of presence from the vanilla and tonka, but also with the inclusion of honey and tobacco, and an even more prominent note of benzoin, so you get a sweet and very ambery aroma that's warm and extremely seductive. This Perfume Parlour version is incredibly accurate, and in a blind test I wouldn't be able to tell them apart. The performance is also superb on this extract spray from the very first day that you receive it, and you'll still get 6 or 7 hours of performance out of it even before it's had time to macerate, so I can only imagine that it's going to improve after a few weeks. It smells super expensive and would fool lots of people into believing that it was a really expensive niche scent. It's an autumn and winter fragrance and one to wear on a night out rather than one that I'd wear during the day personally. If you haven't tried this one yet, make it your mission to pick up a bottle from the Perfume Parlour and let me know down in the comments what you think of it, because I personally think it's a beauty. Okay, next up is the Best Aquatic Fragrance Award, and the winner is Italian Water for Men, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0992. This is a copy of the legendary Bulgari Aquaporum and the original one from 2005. The top notes in this one are mandarin orange, orange and petitgrain. In the mid, we've got cotton flower, lavender and seaweed. And the base notes are clary sage, amber, woodsy notes, Virginia cedar and patchouli. Yes, if you want the deepest, saltiest aquatic fragrance straight from the ocean floor, then look no further than this one. The seaweed note in the original Bulgari Aquaporum is just awesome in my opinion, and nothing comes close to this in aquatic fragrances. And I've got to say, this Perfume Parlour version gives it a really good go, and you can definitely smell a really close resemblance to the original. The Perfume Parlour version also has more of a prominent soapy accord from the white florals in the heart of the scent, whereas the original has more of that bitter, salty seaweed, which may sound quite horrible to some people, but if you haven't smelled it, trust me, it is delightful. You get orange up top and some amber and woody notes in the base, but it's the seaweed that's a joke in the pack with this one, and the Perfume Parlour copy is about, I'd say, 90% similar. The original is a touch better in the performance department, but for the price that you pay for this, you won't find a more rich, refreshing aquatic scent for the summertime, and a great one to add to your collection if you're looking for an edgier, fresh aquatic. Okay, so moving on to the category of Best Gourmand Fragrance. And again, if you're new to fragrances, the term gourmand is a name given to scents that smell like desserts or something that you might want to eat. And the winner of this category goes to this one called Noir Illusion, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 1746. This is a copy of Kilian's Black Phantom, which is a stunning blend of coffee, chocolate and boozy nuances. It's sweet and luxurious, and it's perfect for the cold winter months or to wear on a night out or a date night. It's very classy, sexy and masculine with a really intoxicating character that just makes you want to keep catching wafts of it again and again. This Perfume Parlour copy smells virtually identical to the original. I've tested them loads of times side by side, and there's hardly any distinguishable difference between them. It has really good performance, but I would go for the extract spray over the EDP because it does seem to be a touch smoother in the opening, and it's got like a higher concentration of fragrance oil. So if you are into your sweeter gourmand fragrances, then I would say that this is about as good as it gets. It's an absolute stunner. Okay, so moving on to the next award, and this is for the Best Leather Fragrance category. There's lots of obvious choices in this category, like the copies of Tom Ford's Ombre Leather or Tuscan Leather, but I've actually gone for this one, which is called Tahir, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0325. This is a copy of the very popular Cairo from Penhaligon's. The top notes in this are saffron and damask rose. In the mid we've got vanilla, cypriol oil and labdanum, and the base notes in this are cedar, sandalwood and patchouli. So the original Cairo is described as the fragrance from the gods and is inspired by the sun rising over the ancient city. And you do get a definite Middle Eastern vibe about it, albeit without a prominent oud note. This one is a conflict of sweet and sour notes, and again, it may take a bit of getting used to if you're coming from designer fragrances, and it's quite a complex and challenging scent for anyone who's just getting started with niche fragrances. It opens up with a large dose of spicy saffron and a mild rose and some sweetness from the vanilla, which is lurking in the background. And from the initial spray, you're met with a somewhat sour aroma that could turn a few people off. It's also pretty spicy, and some people have described it as like walking by one of the many spice stalls in Egypt or Cairo. As it dries down, you get less of the saffron and more of the vanilla sweetness and the woods that start to come through from the base. And as it settles down, it develops into a really lovely, warm, comforting fragrance that just smells really leathery and expensive. The rose isn't too overpowering or old-fashioned, and combined with the labdanum, you get a sweet leathery accord in the dry down with a sprinkling of spice, and this is a really great fragrance if you enjoy Middle Eastern smelling perfumery. The performance of this extract spray is really big, and I'd describe it as being a bit of a room filler that probably even outlasts the original version. Right, so next up is the best spicy fragrance category, and again, I bet lots of you out there are now guessing that I've probably selected the copy of Spice Bomb Extreme, but no, I've gone rogue again, and I've gone for this brand new Perfume Parlour release called Stellarius Luxe for men, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0634. This is a copy of Altair from Parfums de Marly, which only came out in the second half of 2023, and I did do a full review of the original if you want to also go and check that video out at some point. It's a spiced amber fragrance with opening notes of cinnamon, cardamom and elemi resin, producing a spicy amber accord, but it's a tale of two halves because after a couple of hours it turns into a lovely, sweet, creamy vanilla scent. This is definitely not a love at first sniff sort of fragrance though, and it's one that needs to grow on you over a few full wearings. The opening hour or two of this will probably divide opinions because it's got a slightly bitter synthetic quality that isn't nasty or anything, but it just challenges you to either like it or dislike it. I've got to admit I was truly underwhelmed when I first smelled the original in the shop, but by the time I drove home I really started to love it, so I ended up ordering a bottle online. But then about 3 weeks later, the Perfume Parlour came up with this version, which is extremely accurate, and they just seem to be able to create one-to-one copies of Parfums de Marly fragrances, which is great for you guys, but not so good for me that's still got a bottle of the original sat on my shelf in my collection that I paid 10 times the price for. It's really long-lasting with a nice moderate projection that will definitely get you noticed without overwhelming anyone. I recommend that you just give this one a try, but just be mindful that you probably won't be instantly blown away by it when you first spray it. But like I say, just give it a few wearings and I'm sure you'll end up really enjoying it. Right, so the 8th category today is for the best fruity fragrance, and the winner of this award goes to this one called Pure Water, and the Perfume Parlour code on this is 1244. This is a copy of Herba Pura by Xerjoff. The top notes in this are lemon, bergamot and orange. In the mid we've got fruity notes, and the base notes in this are white musk, vanilla and amber. This one is a bright summery fragrance with citruses, exotic fruits and vanilla, so you could say it smells like a bowl of tropical fruit and ice cream. It starts out fresh with a zingy lemon and bergamot and also a bit of the orange, but it's not long before you get that creamy sweet vanilla and you just get an instant happy feeling of the summertime. The white musk and the amber in the base provide a bit of interest and depth and stop it from becoming too juvenile or gourmand. It's quite a unique smelling warm weather scent, but I'd say it's fairly mass appealing even though I wasn't particularly bowled over by it the first time that I tried it in the shop. Some guys will find that it leans a little bit feminine because of how fruity it is, but it has really grown on me personally over time and now I really enjoy it, and it's such a peaceful scent to wear in the warmer weather. The performance is decent and it'll stick around on skin for 4 or 5 hours, producing a nice moderate arm's length projection. It's one that I'd say pick up and try out for yourself because some people will absolutely love this one. And I've often heard like Premier League footballers and celebrities on the TV stating that it is their signature scent, which is probably a reason not to wear it, to be fair. But seriously, I think it's very nice and definitely worth considering for the spring and summer months. Okay, so the next category is Best Aromatic Fougere, and the winner goes to Immortal Intense, and the Perfume Parlour code on this is 0884. This is a copy of the new and slightly longer lasting Elysium Eau Intense by Roja Parfums, which came out in the middle of 2023. It's a very fresh, bright and somewhat mass appealing versatile scent that you could wear all year round, but it shines in the warmer months. The new Elysium flanker does contain a few extra notes over the original Parfum Cologne, including rhubarb, tuberose and violet leaf, but nothing from the original version has been taken out, so therefore there's a whopping 29 notes listed in this one. You still get plenty of zingy grapefruit from the initial spray, but after the first 5 minutes, it transitions into more of a crisp green, earthy scent character, with notes of vetiver, juniper berries, artemisia and lavender, giving it an airy outdoor scent profile. But this is balanced and slightly sweetened by the notes of rhubarb, rose, benzoin, vanilla and leather, so it brings a bit of everything, but its main character is crisp, bright and energising. The performance has been improved in this intense version, which was always a bone of contention for the OG Elysium, and this Perfume Parlour copy is once again very accurate to the original and captures all the main accords of the new release perfectly. And if there's any cynics out there that think, yeah right, the Perfume Parlour just probably stuck a different label on the old bottle, then I can confirm that I've got the original older Immortal blend, and I can guarantee that they don't smell the same. So if a longer lasting version of Elysium sounds good, then definitely try this one out. It's super safe to blind buy and a lovely, elegant gentleman's fougere that you can wear for any occasion. Right, so we've reached the halfway stage now, and the 10th award is for the category of Best Powdery or Musky Fragrance. And the winner is this one called Quiet Boy for Men, and the Perfume Parlour code on this is 0063. This is a copy of Givenchy Gentleman EDP Reserve Privé, which is a bit of a mouthful, and I did do a full review of the original on the day that it was first launched in the UK back in 2022, which you can check out in my 365 project playlist on the homepage of my channel. You may have guessed that I'd have gone for maybe Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum, or maybe even Prada L'Homme in this category, which I may have done in the past. But I think this just has a slightly more masculine edge, and for me it smells less makeup-y and floral. The top note in this is bergamot. In the mid we've got iris and chestnut, and the base notes in this are whiskey, woodsy notes and amber. So yeah, this is a gorgeous smelling fragrance with a prominent powdery iris note that will remind you a little bit of Dior Homme Intense, but like I say, for me this is more masculine with much more going on than the Dior. This one also includes one of my favourite fragrance notes, which is the chestnut. So you do get a really lovely nuttiness alongside the iris note. And if that wasn't enough, then there's also the whiskey note. So you'll pick up on the odd waft of this like boozy liquor note. It's just kind of drifts in from time to time. And for me, this is the definition of a proper gentleman's fragrance, which is classy and refined, but yet very masculine and sexy smelling. As you get further into the dry down, it does become fairly dark and woody, which to my nose gives off more of a nighttime feel. But I'd say it's still very versatile, and versatile enough to also wear during the day. It's like a classy work or office scent if you wear maybe a sharp suit to work for your job. I have tested this one side by side with my original version, and it's very close in terms of its scent accuracy, and it performs pretty well too. The original is not the biggest performer, and I'd say this Perfume Parlour copy was a touch longer lasting with more woodiness in the far dry down, and both have a moderate projection. This is a very safe blind buy, and I think it's a really solid pickup that I'd highly recommend that you try out for yourself. It's probably better suited to wear in the evenings and on colder days, but like I say, I'd have no problem wearing this as a casual daytime scent. It's an absolute beauty. Okay, so the next category is for the best woody citrus fragrance. And you could probably take your pick from any of up to 50 contenders in this category. But for me, there'll always be one clear winner, which is this one. Navy Intense for men, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0061. This is a copy of Bleu de Chanel Parfum, which is the definition of a versatile fragrance, and it's also the definition of the term mass appealing. It opens with a blast of lemon zest, bergamot and mint, producing an uplifting freshness. This is supported by pineapple, some light florals and tonka bean, which adds the slightest bit of fruity sweetness. The base is where you'll find its masculine backbone with the amberwood, cedar and sandalwood, just rounding everything off with everything coming together in a magical scent profile. Yes, it's been around since God was a lad, and yes, it's been copied 1,000 times, and it does come in for some very unfair criticism, in my opinion, for being either a bit generic or for its performance. But I don't agree with any of those statements, and for me, anyone who trashes it simply don't really know what they're talking about. I personally will never get tired of drowning myself in this bad boy in the summertime, and this Perfume Parlour clone is one of the most accurate clones to the original that I've ever tested. You simply can't tell the difference when you do like a side-by-side comparison, and I think it's fantastic. Great juice. Yeah, and the next category is one that a lot of you will have been looking forward to, and it's the award for the best boozy fragrance. And regular viewers to the channel will not be in the least bit surprised with the winner. And it's this one. It's Saintly S, and the code on this is 1804. This is a copy of the fabulous Angels Share by Kilian. I've gone on record in loads of my reviews, including my Ultimate Angels Share shootout comparison, for saying that this is the most accurate recreation that I've come across of this particular fragrance. And I've probably tested about 10 different clones of Angels Share now. It opens up with a boozy cognac note and lots of oak woodiness, and at first it's like smelling the inside of a distillery, but it's not long before the sweet notes of praline, tonka beans and vanilla come through, along with cinnamon, and for the most part you get a delicious, almost gourmand, warm, spicy, kind of fruit pie type of aroma. The vanilla and the praline bring a really smooth creaminess to the base of the fragrance, and the cinnamon is always a note that makes me think of like the festive season, so this one is one of my go-to scents around about Christmas time. It's still maybe not quite as good as the original in my opinion, and there's just a little bit more clarity and separation of each individual note in the OG version, but this is still an absolutely brilliant copy, and it's one that you should definitely get your nose on if you've not tried it out so far. Okay, so moving on to the category of best woody fragrance, which again, I could have gone with so many different ones. But if someone were to ask me to recommend just one and my life depended on them enjoying it, I'd probably go for this one. So the winner is Golden Agar for men, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0636. This is a copy of Tom Ford's Oud Wood, which is a combination of intense woodiness and spice. I'd say this is a perfect fragrance to wear outdoors in like the autumn and early winter, and every time I wear it, it reminds me of that particular season because it's like a damp wood smell. It's got vanilla, tonka bean and amber in the base, but I wouldn't say that this is a sweet fragrance whatsoever. To me, it's more earthy with its combination of 3 different woods and the vetiver note that are the most prominent notes in this one. It's actually a scent that I don't wear that often, and every time I do decide to wear it, I really enjoy it, and I kind of make a promise to myself that I wear it more often, but I'm always trying out new stuff, and I tend to forget that I have it. It's perfect for the autumn and early winter, and even early spring. The performance is decent enough, and you get a couple of hours of decent projection that just cuts through the cool air, but I find it to be mainly more of a skin scent that sticks around for about 7 or 8 hours. Like I say, there's tons of oud and woody based fragrances out there, but this one has that iconic scent DNA where you instantly recognise it when you smell it on someone else, and for me that's a mark of a great fragrance. Okay, so the next one is quite a fun category, and it's for the best vintage or discontinued fragrance that you can no longer buy, and in my opinion this is where the Perfume Parlour destroys the competition, because no other clone house has anywhere near the same size library of fragrances. So if you think you've lost your favourite perfume that you used to wear 20 years ago when it went discontinued, then think again, because the chances are that it's probably been remastered by the boys over at the Perfume Parlour. So the winner of this category is called American Medley, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0610. This is a copy of the much-loved Jazz by Yves Saint Laurent that was everywhere in the 1980s and was a powerhouse alongside fragrances like Kouros and Polo Green. But unlike those two, it didn't stand the test of time, and trying to find an original bottle now is nigh on impossible. Jazz is an aromatic fragrance that's fresh and a little bit spicy in the opening, with a well-blended floral dry down that also reveals some green and woody notes. As it dries down, you get a lovely creamy sandalwood that comes through and some other sweeter notes, and you get a gorgeous conflict between the sweetness and the fresh classic fougere accords. It reminds me quite a lot of Chanel Platinum Egoist, but this is just less in your face and just has a softer scent profile. This is so nostalgic for me personally, and I remember often stealing a few sprays of it from my sister's boyfriend's bottle and heading out to a teen disco back in the late 80s. But Jazz is a retro masterpiece, and back in the day, if you didn't have the iconic black and white zigzag shaped bottle on your dressing table, you weren't worth knowing. That's why it's my winner, but don't forget to tell me down in the comments what your winner would be and why. Okay, so the next category is for the best designer-inspired fragrance, and the winner in this one is called Sweet Milan for men, and the code on this one is 14818. This is a copy of Armani code Profumo, and I'll let you into a little secret. This was the very first copy fragrance that I ever bought from the Perfume Parlour back in 2018, and as you can see, I didn't use that much of it before I decided to buy another and just keep this as a reminder of where it all began. But since then, I've gone through about 5 bottles of it, and it'll always be in my annual top 20 no matter what. It's a timeless and elegant fragrance, and from the first spray it opens up sweet and spicy with mandarin orange, green apple and cardamom, greeting you with a warm but vibrant introduction. The heart notes of nutmeg, lavender and orange blossom add a mild airy freshness, but it's the base where the true magic lies, and the combination of tonka beans, leather and amber produce a luxurious and extremely classy foundation which is smooth and sophisticated. This is perfect for evening wear or special occasions for the confident and charismatic man who appreciates the finer things in life. Its potent sillage and 8-hour longevity is more than enough, and honestly, even if you're brand new to the fragrance community, this is one of the very first fragrances that I'd recommend that you pick up. Okay, so next up we have the most versatile and mass appealing fragrance category, and the winner is called Sensible 2, and the Perfume Parlour code on this is 0685. This is a copy of Dior Sauvage Parfum, which in my opinion is the most pleasing smell out of all 4 Sauvage flankers. It's a highly concentrated version of the original EDT, but provides a richer and more sophisticated olfactory experience. You're greeted by lovely citrus opening notes with mandarin orange and Calabrian bergamot, which is sweetened up by some milky sandalwood, and the sweetness of tonka beans also. There's no ambroxan listed in this flanker, so it's not quite as bright and playful as the EDT version. Instead, this is a more grown-up and elegant version of Dior Sauvage. It's not as loud and as in your face as the EDT, and I find it much easier to wear casually during the day. It's about as inoffensive as you're ever likely to get, and it's a massive compliment magnet. It's suitable for men of all ages, and I think it's a very underrated fragrance that just tends to fly under the radar compared to the other flankers in this line. This Perfume Parlour version is pretty much identical and one of the best performers in today's top 20, lasting all day and projecting really well, but perhaps not quite as attention-grabbing as the EDT version. It's velvety smooth and would be a perfect signature scent to complement any sharply dressed, confident fella. Okay, so from one end of the fragrance spectrum to the other now, because we have the category of Most Complex and Artistic Fragrance Award. And the winner of this one goes to Jazzed Amber, and the Perfume Parlour code on this one is 0854. This is a copy of Tony Iommi Monkey Special by Xerjoff. The original came out in 2022 and was produced in collaboration with Tony Iommi, who's best known for being the guitarist of iconic rock band Black Sabbath. The fragrance is a special edition that pays homage to the musician and his unique style, and it offers a sensory journey that's as complex and as captivating as his music. It's not cheap though, and it's priced at just under £250 for a 50ml bottle size. But this extract spray from the Perfume Parlour is £20 and only £14 if you go for the EDP version. The top notes in this are rum, passion fruit, bergamot and geranium. In the mid we've got cinnamon, Singapore patchouli, leather and Bulgarian rose. And the base notes in this are caramel, vanilla, tonka bean, sandalwood, labdanum, ambergris and musk. Yes, so this is an out-and-out masculine winter fragrance in my opinion. It's basically a cocktail of different accords, and from the initial spray you get a quick blast of citrus, followed by the boozy rum note. But this doesn't last long before it starts to transition into a much warmer, sweeter aroma. There's a prominent patchouli note that produces most of the earthy depth, but it's not too in your face, and it's really well balanced out by lots of sweetness from the vanilla and the tonka beans. And you also get a nice mellow fruitiness coming from the passion fruit. There's a touch of spiciness from the cinnamon, and as it dries down you'll probably get a passing hints of the rose that just kind of pops in and out. In the far dry down there's a bit of an animalic leather accent way off in the background, and there's also some ambery touches, but funnily enough the passion fruit note right from the openings remains constant throughout, pretty much for the entirety of its lifespan. But this is a real multi-layered scent experience which is far from linear or like a generic scent, and it's one of those fragrances where if 10 people were to wear it, each one of them would kind of get something different from it. But on the whole, it's a warm and sweet fragrance with a bit of an edgy gothic rock star character, so it really suits the Tony Iommi endorsement. It is a pretty easy to wear scent for the colder months of the year, and there's nothing that I find too off-putting or challenging in this whatsoever, but it might be slightly more challenging to newbies who don't have much experiences with niche perfumes. The performance on this extract spray is fabulous as always, with a solid 8 hours of longevity and a really strong projection for the first couple of hours. This is 100% worth trying out. It's a really unique and interesting aroma that's great for a night out or if you're going to like a gig, etc. Right, so moving on to the category of best unisex fragrance, and the winner of this award is this one called Hazy Fruit, and the Perfume Parlour code on this is 1835. This is a copy of Cherry Smoke by Tom Ford, which I did a full review on the original back in January 2023 following its launch, so feel free to also go and check that video out. But the annoying and slightly embarrassing thing is that I paid £285 for a 50ml bottle size of it, and literally within a matter of weeks you could pick this extract spray up for £20, and there's hardly any noticeable difference between the two. The top notes in this are sour cherry and saffron. In the mid we've got leather, olive, Chinese osmanthus and apricot, and the base notes are woody notes, smoke, cypriol oil and nagamother. Okay, so Cherry Smoke smells pretty much as the name would suggest. It's slightly darker smelling than the OG Lost Cherry version, with more of a prominent leather note and also a touch of smokiness in there too. You do get a similar scent DNA as Lost Cherry, but this is far less sweet and gourmand smelling. And to be honest, as a general smell, I'd say that the original is a bit more juicy and delicious smelling, especially in the opening, whereas I find this to be a bit more grown up and refined. This is a slightly darker scent profile, which means you're not walking around smelling like a straight up cherry jam like you get with the Lost Cherry version. The leather accord in this is a really nice twist, and I think this version is more suitable for men to wear, even though for me it still does lean ever so slightly on the feminine side. This Perfume Parlour version is almost identical to the original, with the only noticeable difference being that you get a tiny bit of more like perfumer's alcohol in the opening, whereas the original is velvety smooth right from the initial blast. But give it 10 minutes or so to settle down and you can't tell any distinguishable difference between the two. The performance is really good, and I would even say that this is ever so slightly stronger and longer lasting than the original, but it's only by a minimal amount. You'll get a solid projection for the first hour or two, and then it's a much softer sillage for the next few hours. But the one thing that I did find with the original Cherry Smoke version when I compared it side by side with the OG Lost Cherry version is that I got wafts from it hours after I could no longer detect the Lost Cherry, so the darker notes in this version definitely give it more longevity. The Perfume Parlour have done a fantastic job with this one, and I absolutely love how it smells. It would have won the Gourmand category it had the Black Phantom not been so damn good. So I created this unisex category just so that I could basically include this one somehow. It's a great scent, but keep it well out of the reach of your wives and your girlfriends, otherwise you may never see this one again. Okay, so the penultimate category today is for the most accurate to the original award. And for me, there can only be one winner, which is this one called Pennine, and the Perfume Parlour code on this is 1008. This is a copy of Carlisle from Parfums de Marly, and it's literally smack on in terms of accuracy, and I honestly wouldn't be able to tell them apart if I were to do a blind test on them side by side. I've actually tested it on friends and family and explained that one of these was a £20 fragrance and the other cost £200, but everyone says the same thing. They smell exactly the same, and some even guess that the Perfume Parlour one is the more expensive one of the two. But not only is it super accurate, it's also one of my all-time favourite fragrances in terms of how it actually smells. It's a rich, warm and comforting scent with like a sweet and spicy apple pie accord in the opening that's absolutely delicious, and it dries down to a smooth brushed leather and tobacco combo which gives off a luxurious and seductive crowd-pleasing sillage. It's a really addictive fragrance, and it's one of them scents that you just want to keep smelling on yourself every 2 minutes. It's masculine without being too overpowering, and it's just a really classy, sexy gentleman's fragrance that smells expensive and sophisticated. It's a perfect gateway into the niche fragrance market, and I'm sure that most of you who watch my videos will probably already have this in your collection, but if not, get it banged on your next Perfume Parlour order. It's an absolute masterpiece and perfect to wear in the cold weather. And finally, we have the best performing fragrance category, which is something that I'm not particularly bothered about personally, but it seems to be important to lots of people out there. So here you go. The winner of the I don't care if my fragrance smells like fart spray as long as it chokes people out award goes to this one, which is called Card Wander, and the Perfume Parlour code on this is 1940. This is a copy of Ombre Nomade from Louis Vuitton, which doesn't smell like fart spray, by the way. It actually smells pretty decent, but it baffles me how so many people are obsessed with performance over how a fragrance smells. If you've got a favourite that smells amazing but only lasts an hour or two, then just carry a little decant around with you and just give yourself a top-up spray every now and again. It's much better to do that than wearing a pungent, nasty scent just because it projects really well. But anyway, this one is a monster, and a couple of sprays will literally last you all day and leave a scent trail that will fill a room and still be lingering long after you've left it. It's a fairly complex and challenging scent that might not be loved by everyone, especially if you've only ever worn designer fragrances in the past. It's a bold and resinous scent, which is a blend of sweet, floral and woody notes. It opens up with the tart raspberry blending with oud and rose, which gives off a mysterious Middle Eastern vibe. The raspberry note mixed with the sweet and woody notes may remind you a little bit of Tom Ford's Tuscan leather in the opening, and I definitely get a small similarity, but it's not the same when you test them side by side. As it dries down, I can definitely pick up on the saffron and also the incense, which brings a bit of a smoky animalic accord to the background of the composition. It smells very rich and luxurious with a complex blend of exotic spices and a velvety rose. It's like velvety rose petals sprinkled over leather. It falls on the slightly darker resinous side, and in my opinion it leans more masculine considering it's marketed as a unisex fragrance, but it's the rose that balances it out and stops it from becoming an out-and-out men's fragrance. But this is the performance winner, and for good reason. It's an absolute monster, and every time I've worn it, it's become slightly embarrassing with how much attention it gets. And every room that you walk in, someone will comment, and not all positive, by the way. And some people will ask you if you've taken a bath in your fragrance, etc. But if you are looking for a total nuclear scent, then I would say that this is your guy. And if you've stuck with me this far, I've got a little bonus category for you, which is the most anticipated one to watch out for award. This one is called Oris Elegance for Men, and it's currently showing us with Perfumer on the website, so it'll be available within a couple of weeks, I would imagine. It's a copy of the omniscient Mr. Thompson from Penhaligon's, which again I reviewed the original a couple of months ago. and I absolutely loved it. So I thought I'd just give you a quick heads up on it so that you don't miss out. It's a really elegant and charismatic scent with a fairly sweet leathery aroma, but some spiciness in there also, as well as some mild florals. If you want to know more, then check out my full review on it that I did, but it's definitely one to watch out for, and I'll be certainly picking up a bottle of it when it becomes available at the Perfume Parlour. Okay, so that's about it for my top 20 Perfume Parlour fragrances of 2024. I know it's been a long one, so if you are still with me, as a little reward, just post the word freebie down in the comments section, and the first 3 people to do it will receive a bunch of Perfume Parlour samples from me as a token of my appreciation. But you must be in the UK to qualify. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in today, and don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll be back with loads more Perfume Parlour hauls in 2024. So until next time, stay safe, keep smelling fresh, and I'll see you very soon for another one. Bye bye for now.